Tennessee Republican Senator and member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Marsha Blackburn. Senator, good of you to be here. We took in a lot of news yesterday when we got those images and video, in some cases, of migrants being flown into suburban New York in the dark of night or early morning, as the White House apparently would prefer to put it. You just tweeted out 37 minutes ago, Senator, the Biden administration is not just flying illegal aliens into Tennessee communities. Just as we suspected, this is happening all over the country. Certainly, it was a wake-up call to see that this was happening here just outside of New York. But this is something you have been telling us you have been seeing in your state dating back to May.
That is exactly right, Sandra. We were seeing this in Tennessee, as you said, back in May. And this is the reason I have developed the Migrant Resettlement Transparency Act, because there is no information given to your local or state officials. They just wake up and find out that they have some of these unaccompanied alien children that are into their communities. And as a superintendent of schools, director of schools, told me last week, he said, you don't know that they're there until they show up and they need extra English as a second language, child care services, all of these additional services. And what the federal government is doing is dispersing these children around the country and transferring this cost to those local governments. These are children that have been traumatized. They have been physically, emotionally, and sexually abused during this journey. And as they've been under the cartel's guidance, many of them were children that were not traveling with a family member. They had been rented out to someone who wanted to cross the border. And now these children are really needing a lot of service. They are going into these communities. There is no information given. And Sandra, last week when I was on the border, I was talking to a TSA agent. And I said, how are you screening these individuals that have absolutely no paperwork, no documentation? They cannot prove who they are or really where they're from. We've had 150 different countries that have presented illegally at the southern border. TSA has had to set up a separate screening process for these individuals, and they're allowed on commercial flights with no documentation. But TSA is giving them this preferential treatment.
Obviously, there's also COVID concerns. I mean, these, maybe not Tennessee, but I mean, it's a very restrictive area where we saw these flights, the New York Post posted pictures of in suburban New York. Very restrictive COVID policies. We don't know what their testing status is, or if they're being tested, their vaccination status, or if they're being offered the vaccine when they arrive. I know that you also put out that you've introduced the Migrant Resettlement Transparency Act, Senator, because you say you refuse to let Joe Biden get away with abusing federal powers to hide the problems that he has created. So what, as a sitting member of Congress, what information can you demand access to as far as the planning of these flights, the timing of these flights, the number of migrants that are put on these flights, and where these migrants are being sent all over the country?
And the Migrant Resettlement Transparency Act, this is Senator Hagerty and I working together to help protect Tennesseans and Tennessee communities, because there is no information given to your local and state officials. And Sandra, they are completely in the dark. They do not know that these individuals are coming. And just as you saw in Westchester County, they are doing this in Chattanooga, they're doing it in Knoxville, they're doing it in other cities across the country. And until these individuals present at the health department, the hospital, the school, for services that they need, no one knows that they are there. The federal government is trying to cover this up. There is 1.7 million apprehensions, but that does not include the gotaways. All of those that are drug traffickers, sex traffickers, gang members that are trying to evade being captured.
Okay, Senator, I know that you have been very concerned about this for months now. We've been talking to you about it. Obviously, yes. The news continues to show that these migrants are being placed in other areas of the country. We'll have you back soon. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right.